old Kevin over there, or Kevon in the building, as they say. I don't know who's saying it, don't know why they're saying it, but they're saying it.
Anal threat.
Did you say anal threat? I'm like, what are these ghost hunters gonna do? Is the ghost gonna fly up there? I don't know what's going on.
That might be why they're hunting.
That's right. That's an anal probe. Well, we're gonna call Derek Stone on the old Skype-a-rooney here real quick. And I've got headphones over there.
This is Derek.
Hey, there's Derek. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, actually. You sound like you're on the radio. That's awesome. There's a lot of radio people that I know that they have the fake made up voice for being on the radio, and I'm like, you don't order pizza in that voice. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
You do your call letters that way, but I know you're not going to call Papa John's and order a pizza.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, Derek Stone with us today on the old Skype-a-rooney on Skype Audio, joining us live from Rapid City, South Dakota.
Yeah, beautiful up here today.
Home of the Fighting... What are they?
Dakotans. Well, it depends on what school. If you're a Jacks fan, if you're a South Dakota State fan, they're the Jacks, or there's the South Dakota School of Mines. They're the Miners. So they're the Hard Rockers, actually. So it depends on where you're at.
Depends on where you're at. Okay. Well, we went on a trip last year or this year, Las Vegas, to cover the Adult Video News Awards, and we drove, which I don't know why I drove, but every state and every town we drove through, I did the old Stephen Colbert, thing from the his little district series where he was like, home of the fighting, whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of them here. Yeah, definitely. Head on out towards Mitchell, South Dakota. They're the Colonels out there.
The Colonels?
Colonels as in kernels of corn, not colonels as in fighting colonels.
Okay.
So there's
Kernels
a few unique ones out here.
There's corn in South Dakota. See, when I went to Iowa over the summer, I kept asking them about wheat, and they're like, we don't do wheat here, we do corn.
That's right. Yeah, they were probably offended with that you said that. Right?
Yes. And now, Derek, you're a professional wrestler.
I am.
You're getting ready to be you're getting ready to accept a pretty cool little position out in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about your background.
Okay.
You were in WWE for a little bit? WWF back in the day?
Back in the day when it was known as the WWF, I was there. In fact, my very first wrestling match ever was a WWF television taping. In fact, that's when I went to a wrestling school. I started back in 1993, so that's a long time ago.
Wow.
Things were a little different than they were. You really had to look to find a wrestling school or for somebody to train you to be a wrestler. And then even then, you had to come up with all your money up front, and a lot of places wanted to make you quit as quick as they could.
I've heard the stories, like when Hogan got in the business, they immediately broke his leg.
Broke his leg, a couple of days after. I didn't have to do anything that extreme, but it was certainly something that was not going to be, all that easy for me. So I moved. I was going to school in Kansas at the time, and I packed up my car and I moved to Ohio, and I trained with a great wrestler by the name of Charlie Fulton, who actually helped start the Monster Factory in New Jersey,
awesome.
Then moved back to his home. Yeah. So he's trained a lot. He trained a lot of very, very notable guys. Guys like Papa Shango, the Godfather.
Yep.
That guy. Also Raven. Guys like that.
Wow.
All East Coast guys. So I trained with a lot of really, really talented guys there, and just started working for the WWF like almost immediately as sort of what they call enhancement talent now. But when I was starting, you were just a job guy. So you were just a local guy there.
Now it's enhancement talent.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know why.
Everything's a little more correct. A little softer these days.
That's
but
right.
Back in the day, but they were still. I got to say this. From the very first match I ever had. WWF always treated me very, very well, very, very well. In fact, I got to the point where I was working for him quite a bit, and then I was off TV and did what maybe a lot of your listeners know, like dark matches.
Yes.
So I was the match that was on before, say, Raw would come onto the air, sort of the warm-up match, and I did a ton of those for a long time. And I think the last time I actually worked for the WWE was it was then the WWE was back in I think 2003.
Wow.
So that was so it's been a while since I'd done anything for that. But in the meantime, I was working with those guys probably at least once a month for many years, and then I took a position where I was training wrestlers for Harley Race. He had a wrestling school. In fact, he still does have a wrestling school. Now.
Okay. Now I get to ask one of my Harley Race questions.
Okay.
there is a buddy of mine here in the great Salt City of Hutchinson, Kansas, by the name of Sam Wilk. He, I guess he trained with Harley for a little bit. He was the ring announcer for ECW when they would do house shows and things.
Oh,
and, are you still there? Still got me?
I'm there. Yeah, I lost you for
Okay.
just a second there.
It's just Skype. It's skipping around.
I see.
It's the internet. The internet hates me sometimes. But Sam Wilk did some stuff with Harley Race. He was trying to be a wrestler. He went up there and he thought, well, I've done this ring announcing. I want to get into the actual sport and be a wrestler. And he said that Harley had this. There was this stigma there where if you weren't a certain weight, you were a job guy. He was never really gonna do much with you. You had to be a certain weight, and that had to be, pretty heavy. You had to be a heavyweight guy. Is that true, or is that just something Sam's just bullshitted with me over the years?
No, I think there's something to that. I was an old school guy, and he always kind of would favor guys that were a little bit bigger. Unless you were just in great shape, if you were a small guy but you were completely ripped and it just looked fantastic, there's something to be said for that. But I think a lot of old time guys are very much like that. You had to look like you had to look like if you got into a bar fight, you'd walk out on top,
Yes.
And that's and so I think that there's probably some real truth to that. I don't think it's one of those things that was ever a written down rule, but it was you just knew where you stood.
Yeah. We've got Derek Stone with us today here in our big.
I never had to worry about that.
Yeah, and that's going to be my next question here in a few seconds. He is currently out there at 1380 KOTA in Rapid City, South Dakota, which just sounds like a cool place to live. Rapid City, South
Dakota. It's a great
Dakota.
place. The Black Hills it's one of the nicest places in the country. It really is. The Black Hills are beautiful. If anybody hasn't ever been out here, you definitely got to come and check it out. And Mount Rushmore is great. As cheesy as it sounds to go to, I'm going to go to Mount Rushmore, and then you go out there and you see it, and you're really blown away. It's beautiful.
Now, you've recently accepted a position at what is it, NWL, I believe, in Kansas City?
Yeah, the National Wrestling League. Yeah, and I'm going to be their director of training. So I will. They actually will have 8 full-time wrestlers signed to a full-time contracts that are going to be split between 2 different offices: the St. Louis office and the Kansas City office.
That's awesome.
And I will work with those guys. And they also have a signed contract with around 30 guys, with a few more on the table right now. So basically, I'm going to be a road agent for those guys. So I will be handling kind of making them better and paying attention to kind of what's going on with them and sort of representing their needs, but then also training with them. For 4 or so days a week, and that might be, not necessarily always in the ring. That might be, training and teaching them how to do interviews. That might be teaching them how to look better on camera. Just different things. You can't, this is a hard business. You can't just grind somebody 4 days a week all the time and expect them to be okay in about a year. It's not going to work that way. So.
Now, something else that you've been doing. By the way, we're talking with Derek Stone today here on the big program. Thanks for joining us here on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, iTunes, and of course 50+ AM FM stations across the country and around the world. Check out JiggyJaguar.com. Download our app, JiggyJaguar.us. It's available for both Droid and iPhone. I can't stand Droid phones though, but I'm going to have to go back to them, I think, because taking this headphone jack away on the iPhones is going to kill me. Derek Stone with us today. Now. You are also a power lifter too. You've done some powerlifting.
Yeah. I got into it a little bit late. My whole life I've been lifting and working out. I was an athlete, my college football player, and then of course got into wrestling when I was 19 years old. So, I've been doing, some heavy lifting and stuff. And, just one day I thought, I wasn't wrestling as much, and I wanted to kind of compete and do some fun things. So I decided to go into, and I went and I did a strongman competition, and I,
That's
just
cool.
training just like I normally did, and I won it. So I thought, well, this is really fun. So I started doing a few more of those and a few more strongman competitions and powerlifting competitions. So, I really enjoy it. I've been doing a few more. Taking some time off. I'm in my mid-40s, so my recovery time for training really hard is a little longer than it was when I was 20. So,
yeah. Well, you don't look it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, Derek Stone with us today. He's going to be part of a NWL up in Kansas City. He's going to be a trainer for those guys currently out there at 1380 KOTA in Rapid City, South Dakota. When do you leave to start your deal in Kansas City? When is that a full-time gig for you?
Well, so my last day on the air here is this coming Friday, the 28th, and then I will start NWL. I will start with them probably on the 10th or so of November. So I'm going to have a few days, and I'll probably go and most of my family lives in Colorado, so I'll go and spend a couple of days in Denver before I head on out to Kansas City, and then we get started. And right now we're still signing some other wrestlers, so they're kind of, I'll be kind of assisting in that. And that's the one great thing is that it's not exactly my job, but everybody that they have picked or that they've chosen, I've got a chance to kind of give my thoughts on them and say, oh, this looks like a guy that we could really do something with. And so, we're going to be doing that. That's great. The guys that we have now, I've been fortunate enough. I know of the 7 that we have signed, I know personally 5 of them, and they're going to be great. They're
That's
guys that are
cool.
Just looking for an opportunity, and it's going to be really great. So folks could definitely go check it out at NWL.com when the show starts. Our first official show going to be starting on January 7th, as a matter of fact. And if you are if you get Metro Sports, you can catch it on the old. It's going to be in the old time slot where Metro Pro Wrestling used to be. So
that's
it will
cool.
Be,
that's really cool.
So you'll be able to see it online, and you'll also be able to see it regionally if you go into Kansas City or greater Kansas. I guess anywhere west of Ottawa, I suppose, or east of Ottawa, I suppose, to be able to watch it. So
we might have to make a road trip and come up and chat with you and the guys at NWL at some point.
We'd love to have you. Absolutely, love to have you there. You can even broadcast the show from there. That'd be fantastic.
That would be awesome. Derek Stone with us today. Before I let you go, my friend, because I know that your time is precious, and I've told you 10 minutes, but apparently we're going 15. I just love talking to you. and we've got our ghost hunters in studio, and we've got our Jaguar. Is that what it is now? Is that the new name? Kevon. I have a guy by the name of Kevon going to be here. He used to be Kevin, but now he's Kevron.
Well, he's
not Chevron.
Money. Yeah.
Well,
making some money and getting famous, then that's when you
that's
change
right.
the name a little.
That's right. You got to change the gimmick. Now, Derek, if people want to keep up with your journey with NWL, is there a Twitter, Facebook? Is there anything I can direct people to?
Absolutely. You can go to my Facebook page, just Derek Stone at Facebook. You can find me there, and it's DEREK is how Derek is spelled. Now, I will frequently, the content on my Facebook page is adult, so keep that in mind. Not that it's overly raunchy, but life is real, and I try to keep it as real as I can. So, so that'd be a great place to catch you. You can also catch me on Twitter at Derek Stone 2. You can catch me there as well.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with everything, and I will definitely be in touch, because at some point, when you get settled in down there, I would love to have you on our Lineup Media podcast that we do once a week. We usually do an hour with anybody and everybody from news personalities to sports people. I would love to have you on and pick your brain about wrestling and some of the old days and training and all sorts of stuff. So I will be in touch with you on that.
I'm a wrestling guy and a radio guy, so I love to talk. So I'm up for it.
And if you're one of these radio guys who wants to talk radio, I love talking radio with radio people. Sometimes I can't get radio people to do that on this show, but I love talking about. Now, of course, as I've said to many people in the past, I can't stand the radio business. I'm waiting for it to burn completely to the ground, and I'm going to have my marshmallows ready. But radio itself, I love. I love radio. I just hate the way that the business has become, with one person owning everything, and shenanigans ensuing. You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I agree. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Thank you. Derek Stone with us today. Check him out on 1380 KOTA this week. It's his last week of regular broadcasting over there, and then we will. I'll get in touch with you on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll get you on the podcast sometime and chat training, wrestling, and radio, my friend.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Have yourself a wonderful day. We'll talk soon, brother. Appreciate it.
You too, sir. Thank you. Have a great day.
Man.
Bye-bye.
Later. That was Derek Stone from NWL. He's going to be starting with them here in a couple weeks. 1380 KOTA, if you want to listen to him each and every weekday morning. Check it out. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we're going to get our ghost hunters in here, and they have some new equipment they are going to tell us about. I seen it earlier. It is pretty cool that they're going to tell us a little bit about this. We are waiting on the fantastic Skylo to make his appearance. I don't know quite where he is. I know that Sundays are usually strange for Skylo, so sometimes he might be here, he might not be here. Reno is somewhere. I don't know if she'll make an appearance, but it is fast, it is furious, and it is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio program. Back here in a few moments.